Hello everyone, FutureFoe here, and this is Quest Mondays. Before we get into the quests, however, I do want to touch on last week's Nightfall. It was the first Nightfall for Year 2, and it was the Sunless Cell. As you know, Nightfalls are a little different in Year 2. In place of the Nightfall modifier, which would return you to orbit if all members of your fire team die, we now have Ironclad, which means that more enemies have shields. For the most part, this isn't really that annoying, it just kind of serves as an extra challenge during the Nightfall. The strike itself wasn't too bad thanks to small arms, which helped counteract some of the effects of Ironclad. And the final fight against Alakul proved to be pretty easy thanks to a few tips I've picked up having played this strike a few times over. The strategy involves using your sword, but not against Alakul himself, but instead using him against the Thrall. That way, we could quickly clear out all of the Thrall. And for the Cursed Thrall, I don't bother wasting any bullets. What I've been getting pretty good at is just simply hovering right over their head. This will trigger their proximity explosion, and if you time it right, you'll take no damage. Also, pro tip, use the sword so you can get a better idea of where your Guardian actually is. Completing this, I got two pretty amazing weapons. From Alakul himself, I got the Darkblade Spite, an arc fusion rifle with really high impact. The perks include a couple iron sights, and I'm all about iron sights, so I'm pretty excited about that. Surrounded, which means this weapon gains bonus damage when 3 or more enemies are in close proximity. For the second selectable perk, you've got Enhanced Battery and Handlaid Stock, but the final perk is Disciplinarian, which means it deals a small amount of bonus damage to fallen enemies. Combine that with the arc damage of this weapon, and this is instantly a Fallen Captain killer. And the last perk is Life Support, which I'm not super excited about, but due to this weapon's low charge rate, this actually might end up coming in handy. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this weapon, and I think I'm going to hold on to it. It's got pretty good range, and when it hits hard. And my actual Nightfall reward was the Zhalo Supercell. The Zhalo Supercell is your dream auto rifle. The thing that makes this weapon so incredible is the perks that just stack together so well to make this gun almost feel overpowered. The intrinsic perk is Zhalo Supercell, which means arc projectiles have a chance to chain lightning when enemies are close together. This weapon's first selectable perk include a lot of great ballistic options, including aggressive ballistics. And this weapon has persistence, which means this weapon grows more accurate the longer it's fired, which is the perfect perk to have for an auto rifle, especially when you're dealing with multiple enemies. And because of this, I'm willing to actually not use aggressive ballistics and use smart drift control, which is going to be useful for the weapon's stability since I'm going to be tempted to just hold down the trigger. The second set of selectable perks include Hammer Forged, Rifled Barrel, and Balanced Frame. For now, I'm going to stick with Rifled Barrel just to counteract some of the damage fall off for auto rifles, but Balanced Frame might actually end up being the way to go. And the last special perk is Bolts from the Blue. Double kills with this weapon charge a small amount of super energy and return ammo to the magazine. This perk is almost like the perk for Bad Juju, but it makes it a little more difficult to achieve since it requires double kills. But as you can see from this footage, double kills aren't terribly hard to achieve thanks to the chain lightning. I was surprised to see how much damage the chain lightning actually does to the other enemies. As you can see, that Consumed Thrall to the right just got obliterated from that. It's a great weapon for Consumed Thrall in general since they warp around so much. And here you can see Zhalo Supercell's ammo refill in action. And with the new HUD improvements, you can see how many bullets are actually coming back to your magazine. Overall, the Zhalo Supercell is an incredible auto rifle and one that I love using. I won't be putting this down anytime soon. And for a quick update on quests. I finally got strong enough to be able to take on the Shield Brothers at 290, which is the last step for the Jolly Holliday Quest. I was also lucky enough to nab Tread Upon Stars, which seems to be an exclusive weapon from the Shield Brothers strike. Treads Upon Stars is a scout rifle with fairly high impact. Again, it's got iron sights, which I love. And it's got a couple special perks that stack really interestingly together. The two perks I'm talking about are Crowd Control and Will of Light, which means this weapon deals bonus damage against taken enemies. I was really interested to find out how much damage this actually increases, so I took it out for a test drive to find the numbers. First, without the modifier, a critical hit is 2970 and 3416 with crowd control. That's a 30% jump in damage for crowd control. Next, I turned on Will of Light to see how much this impacts the damage. Base damage was 3267, which is a 27% increase in base damage. Throw crowd control on top of that and you've got 3757. I did the math on this, and sadly, crowd control doesn't contribute the same amount of increased damage as it does without Will of Light. With the perk, it only adds about 15% extra damage for crowd control. Even still, you've got about a 50% increase in damage to taken enemies, and that ain't bad. Checking in with Amanda Holliday after completing the strike gets you step 9, which essentially just tells you to wait until reset. In-game, we're apparently waiting for the Tex Mechanicus committee to complete its selection process. I can only imagine that on Tuesday I'll be able to check in with Amanda and pick up the chaperone. Those are the updates in my progress for today. Check back in on Wednesday while I'll be going over the raid. Drop a like if you can, subscribe for content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and until next time, I'll see you guys Starside.